Things playing me, my peoples. I'm trying to make this video with my joint. My camera pointed one way, it's playing me. I don't got my selfie stick neither. But I hope you guys are having a fantastic early morning or evening. Hope you guys are having a wickedly dope 2025. As always, I am Certified Player of Brooklyn. New channel name, Behold. And wanted to get cooking regarding the topic at hand. Regarding this FBA new thing that's popping up online. Regarding some of the saltiness that I'm seeing out there, like on the internet. Talk about all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, the one thing that I don't want to do in discussing all this, because I see a lot of the dudes that are speaking on FBA issues online. Mostly the cats that I've heard claiming to be FBA or like using that term popularly, like or like using that term out in the open or in mass. It's new wave shit. A lot of it has been on the heels of this Fat Joe, Puerto Rican, whether they're involved in hip hop or not. A lot of that FBA term has been used on the heels of this debate, and this debate really popped off in the end of 2024, 2025. So in essence, the point I'm trying to make is that FBA as a term wasn't used popularly unless it was online after 2024. So I'll just put that out there as a standard in this conversation. Also, a lot of the people that I've heard using the FBA term in the framing, or like the ones that have been claiming to be FBA in the framing of this debate with Fat Joe versus Lord Jamal, or Fat Joe versus the FBA, or FBA versus Fat Joe, FBA versus Puerto Ricans, whatever have you. A lot of the cats that have been using that terminology, it seems that they want a standard where they could talk out of pocket, but nobody could talk out of pocket to them because they're FBA. Like I'm using I'm interchanging the word FBA like for the purposes of this video too. It seems like a lot of cats like want the standard of like, you know, we can't be bigoted. And I've heard cats say that in the past, like, you know, we can't be racist if we're black. I'm not saying whether these cats are racist or not. I'm just saying that to be that way in terms of like a whole nationality, where you make it seem like a whole nationality is biting your style, where you make it seem like a whole nationality is culture vulturing, or where you make it feel like you could speak on other nationalities and refer to them as like cosplaying or tether. You know, like to me, like a lot of the dudes that are rocking with that kind of standard where they feel like, you know, they're allowed to like speak on other groups of people, but get butthurt like if God forbid, you know, the darts are thrown back in defense of like, you know, my peoples like Puerto Ricans. That's the corny shit that I rather burst through. If you ain't that, I mean, if you want to call yourself FBA in 2025, by all means, you know, do you, black man. I'm not gonna use the term FBA. I made it very clear on past videos. That shit just came out 2024. A lot of times I hear people like try to flip it on me, like, oh, it's a lineage, like, you know what I'm saying, like, or like try to like say like, you know, well, like you're not using the term right. Listen, like it's basically trying to impose a standard in how I should speak, or how I should be spoken to, and I should speak however I want. I think anybody could speak however they want. A lot of these cornballs who are who just started using the term FBA in 2024 online. Again, FBA, according to me, and from what all I see online, FBA was just established in 2024 on the internet. Nobody was popping that FBA shit. In fact, FBA, and I say this a lot in comments on panels and whatnot, is that FBA is basically no different than ADOS, another term that had brothers calling themselves some next shit. And that was COVID era, like where I was hearing people call themselves ADOS, African descendants of slaves. You know, it's always some new shit that they want brothers calling themselves. And I that if Tariq Nasheed does something fucked up in 2025, that brothers are not going to call themselves FBA any longer in 2026. And that stands true. I mean, like, you know, when you bring up ADOS as a term, you know, a lot of people say, oh, well, that's Boule shit. Like, you know, like brothers will say, like, oh, well, that's Boule. I don't know anything about that. I don't know who came up with FBA. I don't know who came up with ADOS. What I do know is that a lot of people were rocking with the ADOS maybe 2 years ago, if that. And now they're not rocking with it. And I'm not sure why. I'm not going to look up into it. I'm not going to look up, like, who started FBA. Or, like, you know I have a general gist of what it means. You know what I'm saying? Like, fucking, I just put a lot of these titles up to rivet up conversation. I see 21 people in the building. Good looks for coming through. I mean, and I know, like, a lot of y'all may have came through for the nonsense, for debates. I'm with all that shit too. Just don't limit what the fuck I say, and y'all can say whatever the fuck you want, including about race. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up with people in New York, and we would make fun of races. We would make fun of each other's looks. We would make fun of each other's handicaps. I mean, if you're coming and you have shit to say about the Ricans, who cares? Let it off. I'm gonna read some of the comments now. Again, I'm reading this while I'm driving back to New York from Virginia, so bear with me. You probably believe hip-hop was 50-50 LMAO. You see, I ain't saying none of that, Big Jeff. Dave B left a smiling emoji. Twix twice said crazy. I'm about to tell him to crash, but he won't. I don't know who you're talking about. But I was talking, I'll get into the, and I'm going to be here for a long time this evening too. As you guys could peep, I'm in Washington as we get all the way up to New York, Jersey area. So I'm here with the shits this evening. Twix said not you. And I'll read the comments when I could. I'm going to be in and out as far as the comments go, but I will be here babbling and giving my perspective the whole evening. And shout out to my brother Latin Pain. If you guys don't know who he is, that he got another channel called That Real Rican Rap. That is spelled with a D-A-T. And I noticed that there's a channel, and I'll give them a shout out, even though they're I see a lot of cornballs on that channel, just talking nonsense, circle jerk. But it's a channel called Scoreboard Keepers, all one word, and they've been rocking with this FBA subject for like the last 2 weeks. Like, I mean, like, it's been giving them all their flow, all their gas. You know what I'm saying? Like, which, I mean, respect. I'll utilize the FBA term for my own devices too, as far as YouTube. But on that panel is just a bunch of fucking emotional ass women and dudes, and they don't let, and have a brother like Latin Pain, who's from the Bronx, who grew up in hip hop. He tries to pop up on that panel to give his perspective, but what you get is a bunch of people claiming to be FBA, and they put rules as to what you should say. They put rules as to what's shocking. Oh, well, that's so shocking what you just said, and let's focus on the shocking thing you just said and not let you speak, holy shit. And I've tried to get on that panel twice already. Not that I need to, but just to give my perspective too. I mean, I grew up in hip hop culture, grew up going to some of the same spots that the pioneers went, in and amongst them. I'm not, and I don't go with those as if I'm flouting my credentials, but I came up in New York, and a lot of the people like myself who grew up in hip hop culture, who know what it is too. I mean, like, I know the dynamics of how New York is laid out. Puerto Ricans didn't just show up there off some fucking boat in the 70s, right after hip hop got popping off. Puerto Ricans and black dudes didn't start chilling because of hip hop. Puerto Ricans and black people have been living in the same hoods since the 50s, if not earlier. I'll read some of the comments too. I see more people commenting. In fact, during the Harlem Renaissance, there was a guy named Arturo Schlomberg, if I remember correctly, and he was based out of Harlem. And they considered him the godfather of American culture. I don't know if that was back then. I don't know if that's now that they call him that title, but what I do know is that he's a Puerto Rican, and he was involved in the African American struggle. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't agree with that brother, because the brother was a Freemason. Yet nobody back then and nobody now was calling him, well, no, this dude's some tether. This dude's trying to cosplay a black man. Like the dude during the Harlem Renaissance was involved with the black movement in some way. I'm not gonna get down into the grim and gory of it. What I do know is that on the surface, the dude's Puerto Rican, and he was working with black people during the Harlem Renaissance, and he was living in Harlem. So could this brother be an anomaly? Probably, but anomalies always exist. But what I do want to contend is that that brother during the Harlem Renaissance, which is happening during the 50s, still had a standing with the so-called black community of New York City during that time. How is it that in the 70s, when hip-hop gets created, which is a whole 20 years later, if not later, that a lot of these cornballs that come out the woodwork from the internet... Sorry about the GPS. Or cornball pioneers that look like they had drug issues throughout their lives, they go switch it up and try to add a little flair to their story and make it seem like Puerto Ricans ain't in the scene at all during the beginning of hip hop, when logistically that's a lie. I mean, like, these dudes want to switch up the history and then make up stories that, like, as if they created it in some sort of basement, and like Puerto Ricans were fucking looking at these dudes in button-up shirts, not hip to the times. Like, it's retarded. Like, they're remixing history. And listen, as far as how people used to dress in hip-hop, as you can see by evidence. If you look at the early 70s, how people used to dress in parties and whatnot, like, these dudes were dressing pretty bummy. Like, nobody was popping out like fucking looking ultra fresh unless you had money. But a lot of the dudes that were involved in early hip-hop culture, these dudes weren't no crazy drug dealers and shit like that. Like, a lot of these dudes were just regular street people, or a lot of them were just regular young kids. And yes, a lot of these dudes dress fresh with little means. I mean, like, yeah, like, I could, like, if you dress like with baggy clothes, it's gonna be cooler than like somebody who wears like tight clothing. Like, you could freak a cool outfit even though you don't have a lot of money. And that's what was happening in early hip-hop culture. But these dudes make it seem like, every part of like Puerto Ricans being down with hip hop culture in the past is basically on some biter shit, or like, using corny terms like tether. And honestly, it's like more online talk. Like, I would go out of town, and I was talking to Latin Pain on the phone regarding this. Like, I would go out of town to Penns Grove, New Jersey, to do stupidity down there when I was young, and we would run into New Yorker dudes, and my little crew out there were Puerto Ricans, but we would run into New Yorkers, and whether they were black, Puerto Rican, like, they would talk about these dudes from Penns Grove, New Jersey, as if they were country N-words. Like, they would tell us, like, yo, like, these country N's out here, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I say that to say, with the debate, with this new school debate that's popping up online, is that a lot of these, like, so-called pioneers, like, which are being used clips, like in that scoreboard keepers, they keep doing like this little bullshit edit game where they some methadone out pioneer, like, giving some sort of clips, some short little statement, and then they run with it, you know what I'm saying? And then they keep adding layers of their own. But when it comes to like New York, like, dudes in hip-hop culture, you have some of these older guys that are popping out the woodwork, and they may feel a way about Puerto Ricans just off GP, like, like, which I'm not gonna stop them. Like, they may feel a way just cause, or they may have had interactions with Puerto Ricans in jail, which that shit doesn't go easy. Like, in jail, it's basically a lot of people just stick to their own race.
Use the right 3 lanes to stay to the right to exit 178.
Pardon the GPS.
I-395 north, I-495 north toward Washington to Tyson's Corner.
So some of these cornballs, they may have experiences with Puerto Ricans where we, like, where Puerto Ricans aren't like pussy, honestly. Like, like, that's the problem. Like, where they have had instances with the Puerto Rican guy, or may have had instances with a Puerto Rican dude where it's nothing about race, but like, a lot of Puerto Rican dudes, they don't take shit. I mean, like, and other people will tell you the same shit. These dudes want to act like they taught us everything about being New Yorkers. They taught us everything about being gangsters. Like, they weren't gangster Puerto Ricans in the 50s that were holding it down. They want to teach it to, like, make it seem like they taught us everything about b-boying. Like, Puerto Ricans weren't up rocking, in the 60s. Every evidence that they show of up rocking as far as the dance goes, you always see Puerto Ricans. I'm not saying that up rock invented b-boying, but up rocking was a form of b-boying, and Puerto Ricans are doing it from jump. You know what I'm saying? Like, or from at least the late 60s, 70s.
In 1,000 feet.
To disco breaks. But a lot of times when they frame this corny ass debate, they frame it as Puerto Ricans are trying to take a percentage of hip hop, and they're trying to jack the culture and eliminate FBAs, which just established on the internet in 2024. It's just they paint it at, like, every as if it's like in war terms, but a lot of times it's like it is painted as war terms, but it's by cornballs online. You know what I'm saying? Like, cornballs that just add their own flair into the history, and, like, they actually utilize a young lady on that scoreboard keeper. She's the daughter, apparently, of a legend named Disco King Mario. I mean, like, who's a renowned DJ in the hip hop sphere. But they have this shorty as like she's an authority, but she's 50 years old, which is not that much older than me. And a lot of the stories that she is making it seem as if they're written in stone, are stories that somebody else told her. You know, being that she's 50, she's not the age of a lot of these hip hop pioneers. A lot of these hip hop pioneers are in their late 60s, early 70s, or a lot of the first participants in hip hop, which she's not one of them. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but so long as, like, with the FBA online of 2024, 2025 era, so long as you got something spicy to say and make it seem like you're race tripping, it's a go. No verification needed. Any type of that kind of talk, it passes. Any type of talk where these country ass cornballs that are not from New York, that hip hop history is not of their hometown, they could talk shady on New York Ricans too. You know what I'm saying? Although we're part of the hip hop culture from day one, when there was a beginning of hip hop, Puerto Ricans were there. Hip hop history at best is murky, but there ain't no way that you could prove that we weren't there from Jump Street. There's no way that you could prove this guy's the first MC, this guy's the first DJ, this is the first party. You know what I'm saying? But regardless, if hip hop history, most of the dates started when the first jams took place or when the first parties took place. If there were a jam or a party popping off in the Bronx, ain't no way that some of these early hip hop pioneers, if they were whether they were black or Puerto Ricans, they wouldn't say, all right, like, black dudes can't come to this party or this first hip hop party, or Puerto Ricans can't come to this first hip hop party. Period. These are the facts. Anybody else that tries to add layers to the game, I mean, they're just trying to add layers, or they're just trying to cause division. And honestly, it's more so a division within New York, amongst, like, Puerto Ricans of New York and brothers in New York. Which, at the end of the day, like, this debate goes nowhere. I asked a lot of dudes from New York, like, if they've heard any of this shit, and it's like they laugh at it, or like they really haven't heard of it. Nobody's really fighting each other in New York over this corny shit. You know what I'm saying? As far as brothers ain't getting at Puerto Ricans or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Like, but a lot of, like, what's a lot of this newfound history that's being thought up nowadays, I mean, like, it's been at least 25 years in the making. Like, the pioneers of hip-hop that came out in that Source magazine, that was 25 years ago, and they posted up Bambaataa, Kool Herc, and Grandmaster Flash. Whether you thought those names were wrong or not, y'all should have been throwing that shit up 25 years. I mean, it seems like now, like, people want to remove those names and place new names. Cool, but don't do it on some, all right, not like we got to do this, like, because these Caribbean dudes were are tethers, or fucking cosplaying like Black American or FBAs. Like, listen, FBA just started in 2024. Never heard of nobody referring to themselves as no FBA. One. Secondly, I keep posting this this question regarding what's the requisite of what or who FBAs are, and I'll be vigilant with the chat to see if somebody could answer this question. But are all FBAs descendant of African slaves? And I'm not saying that shit in the diss fashion, but my conclusion is that not all brothers in America are not descendants of African slaves. So not all black people in America descended from African slaves. And that's an entirely different debate. But it's nothing I want to elaborate on at this current juncture. What I do want to know, what I do want some brevity on or foreknowledge on, is whether all FBAs descend from African slaves, or if FBAs believe that all brothers within America are descendant of African slaves. I want to know, because I want to know what the parameters of that conversation are. You know what I'm saying? Like, why these FBAs online are allowed to be so froggy with the mouth, or like, where do they get the what standard are they pumping with? Is the standard of FBAs online that they could be bigoted turns towards certain races, and it's just allowable. Like, you get off with shitting on Jamaicans or shitting on Trinidadians, shitting on Puerto Ricans. I don't know. Like, somebody would have to enlighten me. Let me read some of the comments. Jeff, 2131. I'm glad you're here again too, my brother. In spite of the fact that we don't agree, I do remember you not agreeing with some of the stuff I was saying in the past, but nevertheless, I'll take any view I could get. And he's having a conversation. I'm back now. Honk your horn. There we go. Twix twice. You get two horn honks. The pioneers already said PRs weren't there, and the first MC was Coke LaRock, who's Black American. Which pioneers though? That's another thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it those pioneers that were doing karate in front of that project building, like that they keep using that clip up so much, like recently? Because like somebody's gonna come right behind. Oh, and that's another thing too. Is that there's a lot of dudes that don't disagree with these pioneers, and a lot of those pioneers that are speaking aren't even of age. Like, those are younger dudes. But there's a lot of cats that may not agree with these pioneers, but they know that the FBA's online, again, who were just established. I'm in DC now, the swamp. The FBA's online are the biggest cancel culture going in 2025. So if there's, like, having said that, if there's a pioneer that this dude that was doing karate in front of that project building, or with some of these dudes that are history nowadays, or adding another layer into history, if there's people that disagree with these cats, they ain't gonna say shit, because they know that the FBA's online that were established in 2024, just last year, when they know that culture online is the biggest canceling culture going. They just canceled Talib Kweli the other day. I don't even know what son did, nor do I care. They already canceled Busta Rhymes, like they canceled Fat Joe. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know what the requisite of FBA, like, of what the FBA's run with, or what their standards are. See, I put that question of whether FBA means descendant of slaves, and I'm almost 100% certain that nobody in the chat answered it, because a lot of cats don't even know, like, that, like, brothers calling themselves by some new shit is something that I see happening historically in this country, and a lot of times it's not even brothers coming up with these new terms. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times I think it's outside interest. I don't know if that's the FBA. I don't know about Tariq Nasheed in depth like that. He sounds hoey, but I don't know. He's outside of New York, and he's given a lot of dudes their hip hop history, even though he's not of New York. He didn't grow up around New Yorkers. He looked for a history, seemingly, that matched his thought frame. You know what I'm saying? Like, he heard Puerto Ricans involving themselves with hip hop culture from Jump Street, which is true, because Puerto Ricans lived in the Bronx since the earth, like before hip hop culture started.
In 1 mile, take exit 5.
Black dudes and Latin and Rican dudes were cool in the Bronx before hip hop started. Ricans were speaking English in the Bronx before hip hop started. Y'all want to remix history for the sake of this debate? You go ahead. I don't live in New York any longer. I live in the suburbs. Y'all gotta live amongst New Yorkers with crazy Puerto Ricans who may feel a way about this debate. I mean, and if you hold it down, I mean, like, God bless. I'm not saying whether these dudes hold it down or not. I mean, they talk like they act like they do. But and I don't want no harm to come to these brothers either. I don't want no harm to come to anybody on the heels of this debate. What I will say is that these dudes make it seem like, they taught us everything about how to flow in New York. When Puerto Ricans been flowing in New York since the 50s, you know what I'm saying? Nobody had to school us to the game. But these dudes, like for the sake of this corny ass debate, I mean, they're liable to say anything. Now that I'm making this exit, let me read some of these comments. Jason Ayala. No, he didn't.
1.8 miles.
Damn, my bad, my people's. No, he didn't. Dudes were doing graffiti in the mid '60s, even back in the '40s with Kilroy. Yeah, Kilroy was acting, I believe, World War One. But some cornball dude on Scoreboard Keepers, I think his name was the Mighty Hebrew, super emotional. Dude was making it seem like a Philly dude invented graffiti, and the graffiti dudes that operate right now in New York, by and large, I'll give you the demographics of them. And I follow graffiti. I actually buy graffiti artwork currently from Graffiti Legends. I could go to my house and prove it as soon as I get home. The demographics of graffiti currently, and I'll go into back in the days demographics too. Currently, graffiti by and large Latin and white boys with a small percentage of brothers. You know what I'm saying? And that's no shade. Back in the day, I mean, in the movie Wild Style, there was a white boy graffiti, Cap. And I mean, the most vicious graffiti writer in the documentary, I think it was Star Wars or Wild Style. I mixed the two up. What was Cap 1, and the dude was gully. The dude was about it, and he wasn't acting like no fucking. He wasn't trying to be down with the culture like that. He was saying the N-word.
Use the right 2 lanes to right.
But the dude was with it. It's not like everywhere he went in the documentary, people are looking at him in some sort of amazement, like, wow, there's a white boy here. And that's in the late 70s, early 80s. But and white people were a rarity in the Bronx at that time. But now, on the heels of the FBA debate, when we know Puerto Ricans were heavy in the Bronx, 50s onward, these dudes want to make it seem like if Puerto Ricans were showing up, that they were showing up with bongos or with the fucking cow and chickens, and these dudes had to fucking stand behind us and teach us breaking step by step. You know what I'm saying? Like we ain't know English before that. It's corny, bro. Corny. And it's some of the people speaking this stuff and that have the most to say. Some of the people that are using the term tether or cosplayer, they just sound like the corniest internet unwashed, anime washing, born in the 90s, hoey dudes that you ever heard online. Like that Scoreboard Keepers panel. I try to get on the panel and talk regularly. I mean, I'm not going to be submissive in what I got to say, but I'll converse with anybody. If you feel like you want to trash Puerto Ricans, so long as you let me speak, say whatever the fuck you want. But I go on the panel and they boot me off immediately or won't let me speak at all, get emotional. But you have other dudes that get on that panel and will just say, oh, fuck basically outright bigotry against Ricans. That's allowed. You have cornballs that sound like they're from the Midwest who were never in the streets. I mean, and I'm speaking on hip-hop culture, which is street culture. And I'm from New York. You know what I'm saying? But I'm speaking of really my ancestors. Hip-hop is my ancestors. A lot of these pioneers are dead and gone. But and a lot of these people that are outside of New York, I'm not setting it up as a New York versus everybody debate, but a lot of times people outside of New York, they don't got love for New York anyway. You know what I'm saying? But to have them speak on some of the first disciples, some of the first children of hip hop, which were Ricans, it's total disrespect. And some of these pioneers, I look at them cross-eyed because if they know that hip hop is a New York City culture through and through. If they see somebody shitting on us Ricans, you know what I'm saying? Like, they should check them. You know what I'm saying? Nah, but like a lot of these dudes, they know that a lot of this FBA online established 2024 talk is riveting up right now. They know that this divisive anti-Rican talk is popping right now. So if it puts them in front of a camera, they're willing to co-sign anything. You know what I'm saying? And that's not that's not what's popping in real life. You know, it's not, you know, where some dude's daughter, Disco King Mario's daughter, who wasn't even raised with Disco King Mario, according to her, could speak on his history, and nobody could check her. You know what I'm saying? Like, or it's also uncalled for, or they're trying to set up the parameters of these debates to where if you just happen to claim you FBA, then you have more of an authority just based off skin than some next dude who actually grew up in New York, who came up in New York, or who has any other point of contention. So, you know, or, you know, the only debate these dudes want is submission. It's basically, oh, you know, admit that you were fucking copying. Like, nah, bro. Like,
In 1 mile,
hip hop
the left 2 lanes to stay to the left.
primarily is not for biters. Biting is allowed nowadays, or copying is allowed nowadays, but to call somebody a biter, especially in New York, I mean, was fighting words. But these dudes want to frame all Ricans as biters if you happen to love hip hop, and that's just divisive. That's insulting to a Rican of New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, we ain't on that type of time. And no, just because you claim you something online doesn't mean that you could check anybody when they're speaking of street culture. In the streets of New York coming up, if you were a cornball, even if you were right and you spoke out of turn, somebody would shut you the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Online, my standard is the same. I mean, like, just because you're online woofing or claiming you a pioneer, like, you know, doesn't mean that you can't be contended against, like, in regular discourse, in regular conversation. Some of these dudes, they just want to control every facet of the conversation and, like, just want you on some submissive shit. And in 2025, if you submitting to anybody as a man, you know, you're already losing the game. And we're still in January. Let me see. Man, I wish I could read some of the comments, my peoples. This phone made me shoot the video at a funny angle, so it's very hard to read some of the comments. If you guys have something really important to write, though, and you put it in multiple times, maybe I could read it. Jason Ayala said, I agree. Time in Arab 10:16, I don't know, AM, I don't know. Jeff writes, most of the pioneers are not gonna say they was in film microphone. Let me go to the slow lane. I'm sorry. Not most of the pioneers are not. I could read too. Don't like trust me, my peoples. I was just reading and driving is hard. Most of the pioneers are not gonna. Maybe you guys say they was in film or microphone check. Oh, I see. I haven't peeped the full disclosure, Jeff. I haven't peeped that documentary microphone check. Just on the basis that Tariq Nasheed sounds like a hoe, and I think that's the documentary that he made. I watched small bits, that they threw up on the internet. But it just sounds like some hater shit, honestly. You know, and at the end of the day, I mean, like those pioneers, if he threw them on that, if it's those pioneers, like the same cat that was doing the karate while he was talking about hip hop history, son ain't come out the woodwork for 25 years at least. And I say 25 years of when they did that Source magazine cover. He had plenty of opportunities to say his version of history and do his karate antics before, and he ain't say none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sure if that microphone check documentary was created because somebody, Puerto Rican, maybe Fat Joe or somebody else, said that hip hop was 50-50, but I could tell you exactly what they were intending on saying. Like, Fat Joe is probably a little older than me. But from Fat Joe's experience, and most Puerto Ricans in New York, didn't grow up on fucking salsa time. I couldn't stand salsa music. I especially couldn't stand freestyle music as a kid coming up. So I grew up in hip hop culture through and through. I didn't have time for any of those other art forms. House music, I was okay with house music, and Puerto Ricans loved house music in New York, as well as black people. But freestyle music, I couldn't fuck with that shit. That's like techno, Puerto Rican upbeat music. Salsa music, I came to appreciate it later on in life. But when I was a kid, I ain't have time for that shit. So a lot of Puerto Rican kids, I mean, from even before Sugar Hill Gang was created, especially in the Bronx, they grew up in solely hip hop culture. They only wanted to know about hip hop. They only wanted to see where those parties were, like where the jams were. And that was hip hop culture. I mean, so a lot of people grew up in hip hop culture, or a lot of people saw that from their experiences, like with the early jams, with the early parties, that a lot of it, they were heavy Puerto Ricans. So what? Big fucking deal. That doesn't mean that they weren't black people there. I mean, like, of course, like hip hop, I consider it as far as music, being that it's so heavily dominated by black MCs, I'll concede and call it black music. If for that, I mean, oh well. But doesn't mean that Puerto Ricans weren't involved from Jump Street, from day one. But these dudes, I mean, like, they want to, like, all of a sudden, like, you know, b-boying now means this. The first b-boyers were in one little basement, and they were doing graffiti on the wall simultaneously with MCing, like, and like, no, there were no Puerto Ricans in that basement, you know. And then like that, like 2 years later, that we brought it out to the Puerto Ricans. Nah, that's not how shit goes. You don't do nothing fresh and then like keep it amongst like fucking a certain ethnicity only in the Bronx. You know, you don't do that in New York and just keep it to yourself. You know, like in New York, I mean, if you do something fresh, you want other people to see it. Except like for these so-called pioneers that look like they're straight out of the methadone clinic, they want to remix history and make New York seem like it's like things flow in a completely different capacity. Like, if hip-hop culture started in the fucking projects, whether you want to say Bronxdale now or Bronx River projects, when do you do anything in the projects and 100 people, 1,000 people ain't noticing what the fuck you're doing? Especially if it's a jam, especially if it's a party. When do you do a party in the projects, outdoors especially, and everybody and their mother's not watching what the fuck you're doing? Ridiculous. Like, these dudes aren't pioneers. I mean, they may be pioneers or not, but I've played myself in the past, and I consider myself a person of standards, which is very hard nowadays. I played myself though. So just because you a pioneer, so-called, doesn't mean you can't play yourself. Doesn't mean that some other dude ain't gonna come out the woodwork next month and say, yo, what that pioneer said was dead wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Another thing too, there ain't too many pioneers that are gonna stick their neck out right now and contend with these brothers, with these whoever microphone check or anybody else. They're not gonna contend or defend Ricans in the spirit of this debate, because they know that if anybody comes out against anything that's been put up with the online FBAs, which were established again late last year in 2024. FBAs did not exist prior to 2024. Stop fronting. FBAs were calling themselves ADOS. But no pioneer were jumping out the woodwork and is going to jump out the woodwork and say, nah, Puerto Ricans were in every one of these jams in 1970, 71, 72, whatever date you want to push it back to. Because they know that the FBA online internet culture are the biggest cancel culture of 2025, my peoples. Stop fronting. How many people had the FBA canceled just in 2025? You know what I'm saying? So stop with the bullshit. Like, also, I mean, like, nobody wants to give me. I'll pull over and read some of the comments as soon as I could too. But I do want to thank you guys for commenting. Listen, this is unlikely for myself. Normally, I read the comments, and normally, if you leave comments on my videos, I always respond, and I don't respond with no fucking like bullshit emoji or some shit. If you leave something to respond to, like, and I'll respond in a long form fashion. However, today I'm driving, and I can't respond to every comment, but I will pull over in a few minutes to try to read some all the comments that are still available. But again, and please, if somebody hasn't answered yet, maybe when I get ready to pull over and read some of these comments, do tell me what. And I'm not saying this in no beef fashion. I just want to know what it is. What consists of FBA? Are all FBAs descendant of African slaves? Do FBAs believe that all black people of America descended from slaves from Africa? So do tell me, you know what I'm saying? Like, because it seems like in September of 2024, Jamaican brothers were calling themselves black. Nobody had a problem. Now FBAs in 2025 got a problem with Jamaicans seemingly calling themselves black. FBAs, they were Trinidadian dudes. I mean, you couldn't tell a black Trinidadian apart from a black brother apart. I don't care where you are in this country. But FBAs seem to have a problem with all Trinidadians, just because Matt Hoffa was found out to be Trinidadian. FBAs canceled everybody in 2025. FBA's got beef with black Panamanians or black Caribbeans, which black Caribbeans, I mean, I know a ton of black Caribbeans. I have a lot of black Caribbean dudes, Panamanians, that are on my team that don't speak a lick of Spanish, that look black as shit, that you couldn't tell them apart from a black brother regardless of how much homework you do. You know, New York is through and through. But according to FBAs on the internet in 2025, I mean, like, those dudes are tethers. A term that I never heard used except for a cryptocurrency. Now FBAs are using it as a diss for nationalities, but they don't want to be dissed upon. You know, anything like that you say and respond is considered something racial, and I'm not rocking with that standard. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you get out of pocket, I can get out of pocket too. I'm not gonna take it to no racial place, but I'll throw anything in anybody's face. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's how New Yorkers do. I mean, like, you know, you diss, I diss. Damn, like, look, I'm gonna put the brights on so you guys see. I haven't, no shoulder to be found where I could stop and read some of these comments. So it's not that I'm ducking the Smith Oak. If you guys are explaining what, matter of fact, I'll slow down so I can read some of the comments. There's 2 lanes here. Jeff wrote, I'm gonna read these backwards. We can call ourselves anything we want. FBA is a lineage. Yeah, but where does that lineage come from? Like, does that lineage emanate solely from people that were descendants of African slaves? Because there's people that call themselves Moors, which I build with, and Moors conclude that they were black people that are have a lineage that dates back to the landmass which I'm living in right now, America. They feel that they don't have a lineage that's tied into Africa, except if you go back thousands of years or millions of years in some cases, or hundreds of thousands of years. But they consider their lineage of America, and they consider that the early people in America were black. So are those dudes tethers or not included in the FBA conversation? Those dudes would volunteer not to be part of the FBA conversation, which I agree. Of course, FBA is some shit that just started in 2024 online. We came from America. Again, as you know, it's not very clear, and I do appreciate you attempting to answer, Jeff. And I'm not dissing you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hazy, and like, listen, like my panel is not, or my chat is not different than that dude scoreboard keeper. Like the dude scoreboard keeper has hundreds of people watching him at times, and a lot of people in the chat. I post the same question in their chat as well, and nobody will answer. Like they'll like say stuff along the lines of the lineage thing, or they'll say, or they'll call me a tether or some shit, but they won't answer. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause I mean, like I know for sure. Let me read some of the other comments too. Like Jason Ayala, that sounds like a Rican name, my brother. Good looks for coming through. I mean, like, and listen, like, you know, this, like, my people mostly are so-called black Moors. I'll never call them FBAs because FBAs just started online last year. But I'm not on build up Puerto Rico time. None of that. You know what I'm saying? Like necessarily. I do definitely don't appreciate the fact that a lot of these cornballs that don't live around Puerto Ricans lump Puerto Ricans up with all Latinos in the spirit of this debate, when frankly Puerto Ricans were the first Latins on the East Coast, and that was prior to the 50s. But for the spirit of this debate, they'll lump us in with all Latinos. And as a New Yorker, I find that offensive because, like, in New York, I mean, like, when Dominicans came after Puerto Ricans, New York Ricans weren't trying to build with no Dominicans. I mean, I got love for Dominicans too. When Mexicans came to New York, even to this day, and they came in the early 90s, Puerto Ricans weren't building with Mexicans in New York. They were building with brothers more than they were building with Dominicans or Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? But so I'm not like I don't look at it as a highly Rican centric for the sake of backing up my bloodline solely, because my bloodline, as was told to me since I was a kid in Spanish, was Moreno, which is Moor, Indian, which is so-called Indian, and Español, which is so-called Spain. So the blood that runs within me is also the same blood as some of these set dudes that are set tripping on this FBA shit in 2025. You know what I'm saying? If they could try to disinclude me or not include my peoples from the debate. I mean, from the bloodline, if they try. I mean, but blood is blood. Seemingly though, they'll allow for half-white dudes to shit on Puerto Ricans. That's okay. They'll allow for half-white dudes to shit on Jamaicans, that's okay. So long as you're hating, anything's allowed in FBA, it seems. You know what I'm saying? Like, it seems like that's the standard. Jason Ayala wrote, "I am Rican." Much love. I am as well. 100%. Though I have family that's black. I have family on the island that look dark as fuck. I have my older brother. He's black for all intents and purposes. My little nieces, nephews, cousins. I mean, but according to FBAs, I mean, Puerto Ricans only live amongst Puerto Ricans in New York City, and all Puerto Ricans only play Spanish music and guitars, button-up shirts. When we play basketball, we don't wear sneakers. We wear dress shirt shoes. And you know, cornballs like Lord Jamal. Lord Jamal is an ill herb. Like one thing I am concluding from all this debate, Lord Jamal is a cornball. I love Brand Nubian. I always thought Lord Jamal was the weakest member of Brand Nubian. That can't be debated. He won't even debate that. But Lord Jamal had time to reflect on this whole debate. He put that Elephant in the Room song out too. That song was whack as fuck. And Lord Jamal, like, listen, I don't think Fat Joe is a great MC. He's a 4 out of 10 MC. I've said this before. I actually had a video talking shit about Fat Joe in November when election season was popping off. When election season popping off, I also vividly remember, as a side note, that a lot of these dudes that are claiming or calling themselves FBA and I stand on business for FBA shit, were also standing on business voting for Kamala Harris during the last election on the strength that she was a black woman. Kamala Harris, from what I know, is Jamaican by bloodline, and her family were slave trading Jamaicans, in addition to being East Indian, as in from India. Now, these dudes were saying that she was black. She wasn't claiming she was black. Dudes that are now claiming to be FBA in 2025 were making it seem as if brothers that weren't voting for Kamala were not on code because that sister was black, according to them. Now, give it 2 months and everything's changed. But I'll get to that in a minute. However, Lord Jamal is a total cornball. You know, he had time to put together a rap in 2025. That corny Elephant in the Room song. That shit was trash. And listen, in spite of the fact that I don't give Joe much credit for his MCing skills, Lord Jamal is not a better MC than Fat Joe. And that's sad to say, honestly. Because I'm not an MC, and I could probably rap better than Lord Jamal is rapping nowadays. Lord Jamal is trash in 2025. That his skills have been in the drawer. Shit sucked. I mean, and the thing is too that not only are his bars extremely subpar, but he has the time to reflect on this debate. I mean, he's probably I don't know if he's been around any Puerto Ricans in the field, but I'm pretty sure if any will run into him, they'll like check his temperature at a minimum, or they'll tell him, you know, listen, like, I think like you may have some points that you're making, but I think you're damn, did this shit just tell me to go that red? I'm hoping I'm not going the wrong direction, but whatever. But and he's probably and he said some outlandish shit in a lot of the stuff that I described earlier, as far as him making it seem like everything was bitten or was copied, you know, that we were like Puerto Ricans are just some straight up biters in every sense of the word in this debate. You know, he's had time to reflect on this stuff too, and he's kind of one of the ones that's running that energy in the spirit of this debate from Jump Street. But he was running with that shit even last year or early when this debate started popping off. But he's had time to reflect. He had time to put together that whack ass song "Elephant in the Room." But in that song, "An Elephant in the Room," he's still coming out with that same energy, like, like we were looking crazy and shit. And it's crazy too, because I mean, like, from what I know of Lord Jamal, like, that brother was raised in Upper West Side. I mean, Upper West Side. If I may be wrong, but from what I was told, that brother was raised in Upper West Side Manhattan. Upper West Side Manhattan. I mean, there are some hoods there, but that shit ain't the hood like that. I mean, like, nobody would like say, like, don't go into that part of Upper West Side. It's extremely dangerous. Even in the 80s, you know what I'm saying? Even the bad parts, they wouldn't tell you don't go there. But this dude's making it seem like he's some street technician and shit. Like, he could speak on every facet of the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of what he's saying is just based on bigotry. A lot of what he's saying, he's just trying to get allies on the internet to just defend everything he's saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, to just line it up so in which everybody who tries to check Lord Jamal is seemingly coming from a perspective in which, they're going against FBA, and that's not the case. I mean, like, a lot of dudes that are claiming this FBA shit online, again, it just established late last year, FBA online, nobody was pumping that shit up until late last year. But a lot of the dudes that are pumping it
Use the right lane to exit right to I-895 North Baltimore Harbor.
are pumping it with the real bigoted energy behind it. Whether you agree or not, I mean, whether you are really thinking that it's a way in which brothers are staking a claim or trying to build on anything. Listen, I haven't seen anything that the FBA have built similar to how I didn't see ADOS build anything, and I'm not shitting on it, and I'm not saying that brothers can't build, but the FBA shit, unlike the ADOS shit, seems to be rooted with a lot of haters, honestly. Not saying it started for hate, but it seems like a lot of dudes that are pumping the FBA shit are some of the biggest haters I've seen in the whole 2025 online. I'm getting to a exit so I can read some of his comments now. Pablo, the real one, 7 miles from the Bronx, New Rochelle. Shout out to New Rochelle. He grew up in New Rochelle. I see. I don't know if you're talking about Lord Jamal. Again, if some of you guys are reading this now, I can't read some of the comments because I'm trying to watch the road. Much love. The FBA shit is just internet based. No, it certainly is internet based. Nobody's pumping FBA unless they heard it from the internet. Yes, Lord Jamal. He grew up in New Rochelle. I see what you're saying. And listen, shout out to New Rochelle. I really didn't get to chill in New Rochelle much. Outside of going to Sue's, if Sue's is in New Rochelle, I mean, then I've been in New Rochelle. But outside of that, I know those brothers do give it up. But having said that, though, me as a Brooklynite, some pioneer would check me and be like, nah, you ain't from Brooklyn, then you can't speak on this shit. You know what I'm saying? And in a way, I would have to tuck tail somewhat. You know what I'm saying? But Lord Jamal, one, he's not of age of the pioneers. This dude's a third generation hip hop cat like myself. He's not from the Bronx. Anything he's heard from the Bronx, somebody's told him, just like they told me. You know what I'm saying? But so long as he's coming from a disposition of, like, I'm shitting on the next people to big up myself in the spirit of this debate. And Lord Jamal ain't trying to build up FBAs. Lord Jamal ain't trying to build up brothers. You know what I'm saying? And I'm only using FBA. Again, I'm not using FBA to refer to all black people. I'm not using FBA as a term. unless it's in a online derogatory fashion. All brothers ain't FBA. In fact, I'll put a bet up that most brothers ain't gonna call themselves FBA past 2025 if Tariq Nasheed fucks up. If Tariq Nasheed is found out to be a snitch. If Tariq Nasheed happens to be in some white girl's DMs in 2025, then that FBA shit is gonna have no gas past this year. You know what I'm saying? But the hate that a lot of these dudes have pulled up out the woodwork online, claiming to be representatives of FBA, that's gonna remain in a sense, unless real people hash it out. You know what I'm saying? And to me, Lord Jamal ain't no real dude.
1 mile.
Lord Jamal seems like a geek. And this isn't about Lord Jamal, because ultimately, Lord Jamal is insignificant. I've listened to Lord Jamal, his podcast, when he was talking about conspiratorial shit, because I'm on that time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I speak on a lot of government stuff or censorship issues. And when you hear Lord Jamal speak on government issues and whatnot, he sounds like a fool. He's just bringing shit up, making stuff up on the fly, using big words inappropriately. And I'm not no fucking master of diction either. You know what I'm saying? Even though in some cases I may sound like a white boy, but I'm not like one of these kind of people that's just gonna make fun of how you talk and whatnot. But I do know when somebody's trying to act like they know a whole bunch by using big words incorrectly, I can sniff it out. And I sniffed it out when Lord Jamal's spoken on other topics outside of this FBA shit. I think he did a video regarding this other brother that was found to be a fraud regarding like ancient Bible history. Black brother. Right before this FBA debate started up, he was talking about that brother on his show, and he was just trying to sound like the expert or just talking nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Like just talking for the sake of talking. Now on this conversation, he is sort of more of an authority figure because he's been in the hip hop game. He happens to be claiming he's FBA, and if you leave it to FBA dudes online, all you got to do is claim FBA, and you're just as much as an authority as some pioneer from the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? So long as anybody's doing things on the heels of claiming FBA, 100% of their facts are right. Their claim to be a pioneer is 100% verified. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can shit on anybody, and that's all gooch. And that's not reality. That's not logic. That's not how all brothers feel. And in 2025, I mean, if we could have regular discourse, i.e. where I could pull up to a panel and not have some emotional ass dude shut me down, we could disseminate through all of these issues. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure like, my brother Latin Pain, great channel like his, who's speaking on this issue, but he's a regular dude. I mean, like myself, I'm not gonna speak on an issue or pull up and speak on an issue and be insulted, or have some dude have me speaking on their terms, like, oh, I admit to this, like, or like cut me off and like then have me answering some next shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens when you try to pull up on like a lot of these panels that are discussing this topic, but discussing it from the perspective of just trying to pump FBA shit. They feel like they could cut you off or like fucking have you answering some next shit while you're on their panels here on YouTube, but they'll let some cornball Herb just say nonsense and shit, like, shit on Big Pun, like, oh, Big Pun wasn't a great lyricist, all Jamaicans ain't shit, like, all Jamaicans are tethers, you know what I'm saying? Those kind of dudes aren't silenced on these panels that are trying to pump the online FBA shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, all kinds of stupidity is allowed. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if one of those cornballs pulled up on my shit, like on my open panel, I'll let them air out whatever the fuck they want. But they want, like, honestly, anybody, when I open my panel up, a lot, like, none of the dudes that pulled up were Ricans like myself, except for one cat. You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of them dudes were probably more along the lines of pro FBA. But I show love, you know what I'm saying? As long as you come correct, you could speak however you want. And they weren't caving into what the fuck I was saying, and I wasn't caving into what they were saying either. But at the end of the day, so long as they ain't violating, like, as long as they let me speak, I'll let them speak, and it's all love. Whereas a lot of the dudes that are pumping this online FBA shit, that are making it seem like, everything that Lord Jamal is thrown up into the air is the Bible is written in stone. I try to pull up to their panels. They don't let you rock. I just saw my brother Latin Pain pull up to their panel, and they try to make him speak on their parameters. Admit to this, like, fucking all answer to this right now, like, and that's not like what time it is. That shit wouldn't happen in real life. And I'm pretty sure if they pulled up to his panel, and please subscribe to my brother Latin Pain, or That Real Rican Rap, spelled DAT Rican Rap. I'm pretty sure that if they pulled up to his panel, that he would allow them to speak however they fucking want. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a character. He would probably, in the spirit of making good content, he'd probably rather a character pull up. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as you're able to substantiate and not be on no whole shit, not try to silence somebody, anybody could speak. But these dudes online, I mean, like, they make it speak like, as if they're number one victim. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like, anything you say will make them more victimized. Anything you say is not acknowledging, like, fucking their victimhood. And honestly, whatever they speak of being victimized, I mean, like, whether it be racism, coming up in New York, I mean, like motherfuckers ain't follow me around stores and shit. Like, I haven't been fucked up by cops more than once. A lot of these dudes speaking on this shit have been fucked up by cops. I'm pretty sure Lord Jamar never got fucked up by police. You know what I'm saying? But so long as everybody online, herbs online or cornballs online, could be just as emotional and just as loud as thorough people online. And when I pull up in somebody else's house on YouTube, I'm confined to whatever the fuck rules they put up. And a lot of times, like, I mean, like, it seems like they don't want you to speak. You know what I'm saying? It seems like they don't want the Ricans that grew up in hip-hop culture, they don't want us to put a little logic from our perspective down. They only want us to speak within their parameters. You know what I'm saying? Or they only want us to speak and, like, fucking I don't know. It's just corny. You know what I'm saying? Like, in 2025, there's too much other shit that we're subjected to be told, like, in any circumstance, you got to be censored in the spirit of this debate. I don't like to be censored. I don't be like anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think people are censored too much in YouTube, in real life. I think there's too many times in these past 4 years especially, in which you try to say some shit and some fucking holy person in their feelings stops you and basically tells you, oh no, like, we don't say that kind of shit no more, or, like, it's this term now, or like,
35 minutes to
you know,
I-95
or
north
if you
through
hold or if you thank a woman, like I say thank you ma'am, some bitch jumping out of the window and, oh, I'm not a ma'am, I'm like fucking some other shit. Enough, you know what I'm saying? Like, enough with trying to like get people to speak, or trying to check people to speak in a certain capacity, because a lot of times I take it as you're not really trying to police people to speak a certain way. You're just trying to control the room. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the people that are trying to control the room for this FBA debate online, again, FBA just started online 2024, last year, a couple months ago. A lot of them want you to speak within their parameters, and there's no parameters to free speech. You know what I'm saying? Let me read some of these comments while there's no traffic. Pablo Real One said, yo, how you get all the green lights? Over here crying about our shit. Louis Luck wrote, this message is hell for review. Let me, I can't read the held up message. Somebody wrote, this dork is a scrub. Louis Luck wrote, ain't no major Puerto Ricans in hip hop because y'all ain't pioneers. Listen, we were in hip hop. Every bit of pictures that you see of early hip hop, you see Puerto Ricans in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so your whole pioneer debate means zero. You can't prove that they weren't early b-boys that weren't Puerto Ricans. I mean, some early Puerto Ricans were some of the first people doing up rock. And I'm trying to line up an interview with a group that was reportedly part of the first up rock battle, La Familia, which is a gang that's still around in New York till this day. You know what I'm saying? Like, so a lot of these dudes, they just want to frame the spirit of the debate. Like, you know, the brother Louis Luck, I'm not sure if you're from New York, but again, if you're outside of New York, regardless, you're on the outside looking in on this debate. You know what I'm saying? If you're on the internet, I don't believe any claim you make. If you're on the internet and you claim to be black, you could be some herb white boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, riveting this stuff up. And shout out to you, I mean, for being here, Louis Luck. You may be whatever you are. And anybody who's on this channel now, I open my panels up once a month at least. I mean, I'm not going to pay for StreamYard because I'm cheap. But if I have the StreamYard going and you guys want to pull up to my panel, so long as you ain't on no whole shit and trying to police me into your terms, you know, you can say whatever you want. And an FBA term that I've been seeing thrown out there, which will never rock on my panel. Again, I don't rock with FBA terms because FBA is a new term, but I don't rock with FBA rules. And one rule that I've seen thrown up is that FBAs can't be racist for whatever reason. Listen, anybody could be bigoted. There's a lot of brothers that didn't grow up around other brothers. They can't be racist. Patrick Mahomes doesn't come off to me as fucking Latrell from fucking pink houses in the projects in New York. You know what I'm saying? Patrick Mahomes seems like a half white dude who's more white. So is Patrick Mahomes more experienced, more hood than mine? Absolutely not. I could speak on hip hop culture however the fuck I want because I'm of the hood and hip hop came from the streets where I've come from. You know what I'm saying? Of New York. Everywhere where hip hop was created, whether it's Sedgwick, whether it's Cedar Park, I've been to all these places. You know what I'm saying? Like fucking a lot of these dudes online are learning these things exactly from there online. You know what I'm saying? But they now they want to run with some shit a pioneer may have said, a so-called pioneer may have said, as if it's the Bible. All this history is gonna be remixed. Give it a couple months, and we're gonna see new pioneers pop up out the woodwork. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. I'm gonna say some other FBA shit that may be found offensive. So stay tuned. I'm gonna read comments that are older though. NY guy, pull over and read my shit. Oh, I'll read it. The guy from that channel agrees with Joe and said Joe said nothing wrong. Morris TV was informative. I actually peeped the channel called Morris TV. Oh, I know. No. I know who Morris TV is. That light skinned cat. If you have time, I watched a debate between Dougie Diamonds and Morris World TV. I actually heard of that debate. I do gotta watch it though. Louis Luck said earlier, Puerto Ricans ain't from the Bronx. Y'all are from Puerto Rico. Like, I mean, like, that's a retarded statement through and through, Louis Luck. You must not be from the Bronx. I read that, yes, Lord Jamal earlier. Puerto Ricans are not from New York. I mean, you must have never heard the term New Yorican. I mean, you must not watch several films, shows. I mean, and they misrepresent Puerto Ricans in these shows and films. But if you go to New York for 10 minutes, I mean, Puerto Ricans are holding down New York. And the thing is, too, listen, this is another thing that a lot of people may be surprised by, that are living behind the computer screen and don't know and never been around a Puerto Rican their whole life. And that's the thing that pisses me off with, or something that's in LA, even Miami. There's more Dominicans in Miami than there are Puerto Ricans. But as far as Ricans being a part of the fabric of New York for over half a decade, you know, it's shocking that a lot of these dudes try to represent it as something else. As far as these so-called methadone pioneers that are popping up out the woodwork, these heroin pioneers, crackheads. But you know, when they try to obfuscate like the contributions of Ricans as it pertains to New York. But one thing I'll tell you about Ricans in New York, and what a lot of these pioneers why they feel sour in when they describe Puerto Ricans, is that Puerto Ricans in New York, nobody will tell you otherwise, are some of the toughest dudes in New York. And I mean, like, I'm not saying that we are the toughest, but nobody will ever tell you like Puerto Ricans are pussy in New York City. No dude pumping this internet shit online will go to New York. I don't care if you go to the Bronx, you go to Staten Island, and like just go at random to Puerto Ricans and say like Puerto Ricans are pussy, or because they know what time it is. A lot of these pioneers like out of New York, they know like somebody's gonna check their temperature based on these statements, and they ain't even go out the woodwork with these statements. You see them pumping their brakes a lot of times when they're talking about Puerto Ricans, because they know what it is. But a lot of times, I'll be frank, you know, some people have to learn the hard way historically from what I see in New York, and find out that Puerto Ricans aren't anybody's recreation or anybody's rec. For those of you who are not of New York, recreation means like or rec is like somebody who you could do whatever you want with them. Like I could steal from them, I could, you know. A lot of Puerto Ricans don't look very menacing like myself. I mean, like I look like a white boy. But a lot of Puerto Ricans, you know, are very with cutting people in New York City, are very with not being overrun in the New York City jails. And Puerto Ricans Unlike other ethnicities, at times when we see our own getting trampled upon by other nationalities in jail, we'll intervene. Like, I mean, and Dominicans do the same shit. They don't like to see their own being trampled upon by another nationality just on the basis of race. Like, they'll look at it as like, if in jail, let's say, if a Puerto Rican is getting stomped out by whoever, it makes all Puerto Ricans look weak. So we have other nationalities on 100% of the time. I mean, and that's their own fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's telling Puerto Ricans ain't telling other nationalities don't do the same shit. I mean, and Dominicans do the same shit on the inside. You know what I'm saying? Like, if y'all ain't doing the same shit, that's on y'all. You know what I'm saying? If I would have ended up in a NYC jail, I mean, like, I probably would have had more with the Puerto Rican gangs just off of my the dirt I've done in New York City. I mean, and that's the breaks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't join up with like Puerto Ricans. Like, had I gone inside in the 90s, just off the strength of my past history, and that's just the break. But I mean, as a whole, I mean, like, we do follow that little bit of code just off of necessity, honestly. And Dominicans in jail follow that same bit of code too. I mean, I'm not saying that brothers are pre-genetically disposed to do otherwise, but if they're not enforcing that code for themselves, when it's life or death in jail, I mean, then they must think it's a game. I mean, or they might not think that it's that serious. I mean, like, that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, but doesn't mean that Puerto Ricans as a whole don't build with brothers as a whole, even on the inside. That doesn't mean that brothers on the like Ricans on the inside, are joining up with each other on the strength of that they hate brothers. No, they just join up with each other because it's easier that way. I mean, it's easier for them to defend their own. It's no shocker. It's no surprise. You know what I'm saying? That's neither here nor there. Louis is a doofus. I mean, it seems that way. I mean, nevertheless, I'm glad he pulled up. But Louis Luck, I mean, you're welcome to come on to my panel when I have it open for debate at any time. Let me see what. Damn, I can't fucking look at my hidden comments. And another thing too, if you guys ever peep my content in the future, I'm not tech savvy at all, and I don't know how to operate the internet with much proficiency. I may speak somewhat well for a New York dude, but that doesn't mean I'm brainy or nerdy in that capacity where I know fucking technology. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not up on Instagram like that, besides for my own purposes. Like, I don't know. My guy, you could ramble, my dude. Gotta give you credit for that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I am rambling a lot too, because I wasn't planning on doing this live stream, but this topic, I go on for days too, and it's gonna get worse. Because where I gotta go at the FBA culture online, which FBA online culture just started in 2025. I gotta keep repeating this because I don't want people to think I'm race hating on brothers. Not all brothers are using the FBA term again, but again, going back to the standards of these FBA cats online, which it seems like there are none. There's no standard. You know what I'm saying? It's just basically toxic, beef with each other. But going back to the election thing, where Fat Joe, he actually endorsed Kamala Harris, who, again, a lot of these cats that are repping the FBA shit online were making it seem like when this past election, presidential election, when a lot of brothers were saying in New York especially, listen, we're not cool with these new migrants that are showing up to New York. For the sake of our own interest and for our own family's interest, we're not going to vote Kamala Harris because it seems like Democrats want more immigrants to come into the country. That's their perspective. A lot of these cats that are claiming to be FBA online in 2025 were saying that those brothers that were voting against Kamala Harris, a Jamaican woman or a woman with Jamaican ancestry, were sellouts. You know what I'm saying? A lot, but and my shit disconnected. Where it's just a lot of brotherly love for themselves, or doing everything based on their own race forward, or where they make every move based on that perspective of, oh, my race, my race, my race. Like when you hear these FBA dudes talk online, they make it seem like they lead their whole existences in that capacity. You know what I'm saying? But I know for a fact, I mean, going back to a topic, but or going, like, before I go on though, when it came to Fat Joe endorsing Kamala Harris in November 2 months ago, they was with it. Like, none of them dudes were saying, nah, I don't need these Puerto Rican dudes, like, not like, you know, oh, Fat Joe trying to take a percentage away from hip hop to be supporting our sister Kamala. Nah, bro, they were with it. They were listing all the celebrities that were endorsing her, in addition to Fat Joe. You know, Beyonce's endorsing her, Fat Joe's endorsing her, this one's endorsing her. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was all good then. Where's the standard then? What's up? Where's the FBA? Like, you know, like, where's the pro brother shit in that capacity? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the, oh, you know, Puerto Ricans ain't rocking with us, or don't rep with us in the sake of that debate? You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure a lot of these dudes, again, that's a topic that I touch on in this channel plenty, because I was extremely anti-jab. But a lot of these dudes were lining up for that jab several times over. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, when it comes to victim history, like because like FBA is seemingly all about trying to paint brothers vulnerable, brothers is being always victimized, brothers is always being bitten off and their shit taken from them. You know what I'm saying? Especially New York City brothers. The FBA's paint New York City brothers as some of the most gullible dudes in the history of brothers in America. But you know, when it comes to pumping up victimhood culture, which seems to be a very strong tenet within the FBA discourse online, or distrust. Also, how brothers were done wrong with the Tuskegee experiments, but also probably were pumping the jab shit heavy duty last year. You know what I'm saying? They were probably shitting on other brothers and making it seem like they were being bigots or fucking dumb, anti-science, or making it seem like, oh, you know, you one of the MAGA people for not lining up for the jab. You know what I'm saying? Because these dudes have no standards. Their standards are basically whatever you're told online today, run with that shit. Just be a hater. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of Puerto Ricans, I mean, like, from what I see, a lot of Ricans in this debate aren't coming out of pocket and saying crazy shit like, oh, fuck all Morenos and all this stuff. A lot of Puerto Ricans seemingly are more hurt that a lot like that we're being played in this fashion, that we're being excluded. You know what I'm saying? Like, but they ain't coming out of pocket and saying, "Oh, fuck all FBAs." If anything, I'm saying it more. Fuck a lot of these dudes that are running with the FBA online and hating on everything they see, everyone they see, Caribbean and Rican and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I'm not on that time in real life. I'm more going after the people that feel that they're bigoted, that they can be bigoted against Ricans, especially without no repercussions. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm here to give them a dose of reality. In no sense, in no reality, whether that be in the streets or online, should that be acceptable. And if I gotta enforce that standard myself, then so be it. But most people I see aren't on that time of just shitting on brothers in mass. You know what I'm saying? Although I do see a lot of these dudes that are pumping the FBA shit online, pumping it with that spirit, pumping it, insulting Ricans, and using these new school terms like tether and cosplaying, in trying to use it as an insult aimed in this direction, and that shit ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? Like fucking let me read some of the last comments. I am gonna cut this off so I could start driving like a lunatic, because I'm over here doing 70s and 65s when I'm normally doing 80s, and I want to get back to the cribbos. But much love for y'all for commenting, showing up. I love having these conversations. I'm gonna open the panel up next time too. And if you come to my panel, I ain't gonna silence you. Even if you don't agree with me, I'm not on that time. I don't want straight up Puerto Ricans showing up to my panel either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll accept anybody on my panel, honestly, but I do want a lot of brothers to show up, represent, whether they agree with me or not. But let me read some of these comments. Louis Luck wrote, talking victimhood shit when you're on here crying about Latinos not being acknowledged like a victim. Nah, I'm not crying about us not being acknowledged. Listen, at the end of the day, Louis Luck, history's history. Anybody that would try to tell you that Puerto Rican women would show up to some of the first hip-hop parties. Again, hip-hop is party culture. Hip-hop started in parties, in jams. Anybody that will tell you that brothers would reject Puerto Rican women from coming to a party are basically trying to paint brothers as homosexuals in 1970s Bronx. And I know that's not the time we're on. I know that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? So as far as crying about it, nah, I'm not crying, because history's history. That can't be changed. You know what I'm saying? The dudes I see crying on here aren't really crying. Like, they're just trying to be salty, honestly. A lot of FBA dudes here aren't really crying. I mean, like, they're more trying to play the victim in a weaponized fashion, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I'm saying. Yeah, you're false history. Nah, that's not false history. They would have to basically prove that Ricans weren't around. That's the problem with this debate. This debate should be happening in reverse. The debate should be prove that Puerto Ricans weren't in the Bronx in the 1970s, basically, because we were there in every hood. You know what I'm saying? Being there and creating it are two different things. Well, listen, again, hip-hop is party culture. If you're at the party, you're creating it. Nobody said, listen, at those parties, wow, MCing sounds great. This first MC that pulled up we're gonna stamp it, acknowledge that this is the first MC, and this is hip hop history. Like at that time, this is pre the term hip hop even existing. Nobody knew what the fuck was happening. It was just happening in a vacuum. It was happening by just a bunch of creative culture being around each other too. People act like Puerto Ricans don't create. Come on, that's ridiculous. Like, I mean, like in the last couple of decades, Puerto Ricans created reggaeton. You know what I'm saying? That shitty ass freestyle music, which I don't really appreciate. I don't want to call it shitty because I actually like it a little more as I get older. But you know, Puerto Ricans, Caribbeans, we're creative people too. You know what I'm saying? But the way y'all like try to draw it up is that everything we create, we're biting off of y'all, when that's not the case. And you know, y'all remix it by making it seem like we're biting off Africans at certain times, or brothers of America in certain cases. You know what I'm saying? When again, like, you know, it's very hazy when a lot of these FBA reframe certain debates. They reframe it in a spirit of trying to shit on the Ricans, bro, and that ain't cool, one, and that's not history. History, at the end of the day, Ricans were in the beginning of hip hop, in those first parties from day one. If they weren't there on the very first day, they were there the first week. If they weren't there the first week, it didn't go beyond 1 month. You know what I'm saying? These dudes want to make it seem like they created hip hop in a dungeon. Well, if it was created in a dungeon and brought out to the world a month later, then that month later there were Puerto Ricans there. Simple. Let me see. We ain't playing victim. We're protecting our shit. But who's our shit though? Because if you're not from the Bronx, or if you're not from New York City, you're from the outside looking in at this culture. I'm talking about Bronx 1970s, or New York City, which is the home of hip hop. See, the problem with this, like what I see a lot of these FBA online debate dudes doing, is obfuscating the history of hip hop too, and they're trying to take the hip hop away from its early roots in the Bronx. And y'all really tripping on that too. You know, making it seem like fucking some doo-wop dude was the first rapper in the 40s and shit, and now that's the first rapper. Nah. Hip hop culture started in the 70s in mass. If some dude was convulsing on the floor while doing a dance in the 50s, good on him. But dudes in the 70s didn't say, oh, well, let me go and watch that video of some dude doing something that looks like b-boying that came out in the 40s and 50s and try to do it as a dance in the 70s. No, y'all lying. You know, some dude that came out as the first MC in the 70s didn't look to James Brown and say, oh, well, I'm going to do that at the next party so I could be the first. Nah. All that shit came together early 70s in the Bronx. Didn't came up anywhere else. Graffiti, as it's currently construed, came up only in New York. Stop fronting. I don't care if somebody scribbled somewhere outside of New York. They were scribbling in Greece too. I've been to ancient monuments in Greece, and there was actually a bit of ancient graffiti that was thousands of years old, supposedly. So that mean graffiti culture started in Greece? Absolutely not. Graffiti as we know it, where it had style, flair, bombing, big pieces, that started with hip hop culture. 1970s Bronx. Everybody else that tries to add anything outside 1970s Bronx is a fucking liar. Agaish. Let me look at some of the other. That's the only history I'm rocking with. You know what I'm saying? These pioneers that you give them a little bit of methadone and they start doing karate and saying different versions of history. Listen, they're pioneers to you. I've chopped it up with pioneers. I've gone to the Zulu anniversary many times in the 90s. You know, in the Zulu anniversary, I mean, it seems like every year they were saying these are some of the first MCs, these are some of the first B-boys. And it was never the same people over and over. And no, Rocksteady weren't some of the first B-boys. But shout out to them because Rocksteady were some of the B-boys that were bringing B-boying out to the world more than anybody. And a lot of those brothers are Puerto Ricans. That's not like a bone of contention or wow, you know, like that's our contribution right there. No, it's just that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And b-boying as a culture was dying out in the 90s. You know, and Rocksteady, I mean, they weren't the only people that were keeping it alive, but they're one of the main people that were keeping it alive at a time when it was dying. So shout out to them. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people shit on them because of Crazy Legs history or some of the statements that were made, but they use them as targets, and they try to make a fake history as, oh, these dudes were trying to claim that they were the first b-boys. No, they weren't. One. Secondly, I mean, they're just saying like what it is. I mean, like fucking and they have a version of history too, but people want to edit a small part of some interview they did and run with that. Or people want to use them as like a placeholder in saying, oh, all these Puerto Rican dudes like Rocksteady biting us or like Crazy Legs. Like, nah, bro. I'm not here to answer to every fucking claim that was made online. I'm not here to answer to every claim that was made by Fat Joe. I'm not here to answer the claims that are made by Dr. Cologne. I don't even know who that is. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to basically say history from what it is. 1970s Bronx, 1. 2, I'm also saying the history of hip-hop, in which it's an extremely jealous culture. And hip-hop as a culture, New York dudes would look at others as outsiders. We wouldn't let some country-ass dudes speak on our New Yorkers. You know what I'm saying? And like, you know, New Yorkers are part of hip-hop culture. The fact that these legends are going out of pocket and letting others speak on us that way, that's on those so-called pioneers and so-called legends. You know, legends could talk out of pocket. I could talk out of pocket at times. Doesn't mean I'm right. You know what I'm saying? Let me read some of the other comments. And you Puerto Ricans were not with us like that. You Caribbeans are conditioned to lie. Like, how do you where do you assume this, Louis Luck? That's some cornball ass statement. You know what I'm saying? That's how I know you're not around us like that. And if you are, you probably got herbed up by us too. There's a lot of dudes, you know, even these so-called pioneers that were herbed up by Puerto Ricans or made victims on in the streets by Puerto Ricans too. And you know, they may remix history based on that. You know what I'm saying? Who's y'all? I'm pretty sure Orianis is talking to Louis Luck. Nah, y'all, bro, y'all is biting black Americans. Nah. Everybody in New York is flavored by everybody else. You know what I'm saying? You would really, like, ain't nothing by New York made by one particular people. There's a lot of dudes in New York. I mean, like, y'all act like Ricans haven't been getting fly since the 60s, prior to hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all trying to make it seem like everybody who was trying to be fly that was Puerto Rican in New York was some fucking Hibaro, like straight out of the country and shit, like fucking ain't have no style about them, like was playing bongos. Y'all remixing again, bro. Like stop it. Y'all don't know what the fuck you talking about. Crash out, bro. I know you're not right talking about me. You the one crashing out, buddy. I mean, like, you know, if you making it seem like we're on some biting time. You know what I'm saying? It's Black Americans culture. Nah, it's not Black American culture. Cause Southern black dudes had nothing to do with hip hop. You know what I'm saying? West Coast black dudes had nothing to do with the early makings of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Those dudes are on the outside looking in to the dudes that were there from Jump Street. Gabish? Nothing belongs to the Bronx. Nah, I mean, it doesn't belong to the Bronx now, unfortunately. But the Bronx does have the claim of creating hip hop in early 1970s. And no other place has that claim. And to a second notion within that same vein is that Puerto Ricans been in the Bronx since the at least 60s, at least 50s. Puerto Ricans have been in the Bronx everywhere where there were black people. They were Puerto Ricans. Every black gang had Puerto Ricans in it, probably from Jump Street. You know what I'm saying? Black Spades had Puerto Ricans in it. Baby Black Spades had Puerto Ricans in it. You know what I'm saying? Every Latin gang or every gang that had a Latin name in the Bronx had black dudes in it. Every Latin gang that had more Latin gang dudes in it in the Bronx has some black people in it, and vice versa. It's just how it works, how it worked. Let me see. And again, nothing of what I'm saying is shitting on brothers either. You know, I'm not crashing out in none of what I say. A lot of these so-called pioneers may have to get checked in a very bad fashion for what they say. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like checks Lord Jamar for saying what he says. I don't want that to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody lines up Lord Jamal like and just tries to make recreation out of him. Some Puerto Rican cats, you know, in New York City. And again, I don't want that to happen. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not taking down anything I say. A lot of those dudes, they may try to switch it up and maybe come out with a half-hearted apology. And even when they like those pioneers were talking, they were pumping the brakes many times because they know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? They know how Puerto Rican dudes get down. Like, we ain't no chumps. Hells no. Hells no. And that's why they don't jump out the window like some of these online FBA internet cats circa 2024. They jump out the window on their own, like behind the internet screen or behind the monitor, but they ain't jumping out the window in New York. I mean, if they jump out the window in New York and or make like put their shit out there in New York. And listen, I'm from Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Anybody in Sunset Park, many people in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, know who the fuck I am. So I mean, like, anything that I'm saying, if anybody wants to come ask me about it, they're more than welcome to. It's not like there's not brothers in my neighborhood, and I chill in my neighborhood often, even though I don't live there no more. Everybody knows what time it is, who I am, and I've put out what block I'm from on this platform. I'm not gonna do it because I don't want no fucking troll jobs to show up or like fucking have some fucking cornball make some AM content pulling up to my block, acting like they're fucking like, you know, chasing me out the frame or some shit, or like I'm not popping out because of him or some shit. No, but I'm not shy about who the fuck I am in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't make and I'm not saying I'm Mr. fucking tough guy either, but I've put out my real life info out there. on this platform. You know what I'm saying? Like, but a lot of these, the spiciest FBA people online are either women. I mean, and honestly, you know, the code is you can't really check women. Like, you know, you can't check women hard. Like, if you're a man, or the people that are also talking spicy, from what I see, claiming to be representatives of FBA online circa 2024 when FBA started, are dudes behind the computer screen. You know what I'm saying? Like, even those pioneer cats making fools of themselves, talking spicy about Ricans. They're not jumping out the window and saying nothing too spicy because they know that some of their own peoples are probably Rican dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't respect that shit. I don't respect a lot of that stuff. Those dudes ain't pioneers to me. You know what I'm saying? Those dudes are just some spicy ass, crackheaded looking dudes, looking messy. You know what I'm saying? If they were to act like they were representatives of anybody hip hop prior to this whole debate, people would shun them and say, nah, these dudes look bummy. You know what I'm saying? These dudes look corny. Like, these dudes don't speak for us. But, you know, with a lot of these FBA 2024 online dudes, they like hate. They allow anything hateful to be said. So long as it's hateful, they rock with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's not reality. Again, and to anybody who's you want to be Mr. FBA representative, you come onto my panel and you could lay down anything you want to lay down. I won't even cut you off. I won't even look at it as if you're coming from a hateful place. Especially first come through. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the fucking wrong lane. Bah. You know, I'll let you get yours off. You know, I don't want to. I won't open it up as if it is a debate. You know what I'm saying? Because ain't nothing to contend. You know, nobody can contend that the Bronx started hip hop in the early '70s. But if you want to try to, I'm just not gonna allow you to frame shit for the sake of appeasing some corny ass fucking gotcha moment. You know what I'm saying? Which a lot of these debates, it seems most of them are a lot of them is basically somebody trying to get you to agree with something, and you know, on some aha shit, you know, like nah. Like, I open my panel up for conversation. I don't open it up for fucking catty shit. Let me read some of this shit. Nothing belongs to the Bronx. Yeah, sure. And I'm supposed to believe your Greece story? I mean, look it up. I mean, the Pantheon has fucking graffiti that dates back to ancient history. I mean, Google it. Can you prove that the Black Spades have Puerto Ricans? Ask the Black Spades. If anything's to happen to Lord Jamal, Puerto Ricans is getting run down on. That's impossible, homie. I'm telling you. Listen, I'm gonna explain some New York dynamic to you right now. Like, and I'm not saying it to be insulting. I think that if anybody were to come to Lord Jamal's defense on the heels of this debate, they would have to gather up or make some sort of agreement after the fact. Whereas, and that doesn't always happen. I mean, like, as far as the dynamic as I've seen play out, I'm not saying this insulting. I'm not saying that brothers are pre-genetically disposed to act in this way. But most times, and this is the same for Ricans too, but more so with the brothers, most times I see brothers banging on brothers, like in the streets, when it really counts. Having said that, I see if Lord Jamal getting run down on any capacity, whether it's some fucking Puerto Rican dude surrounding him and trying to make him look like a herb for the sake of, you know, good content, or if some Puerto Rican dudes kick the shit out of Lord Jamal. Neither scenario I want to happen. Having said that, I don't see a lot of dudes like being like, oh, we got to run down on these Puerto Ricans if something like that were to happen. I see it more like, yo, it is what it is, or some shit like that to be the response. You know what I'm saying? Like, or I see it like, yo, well, you know, like fucking, I don't know. But I don't like, again, most brothers don't, I think a lot of brothers don't agree with Lord Jamal in the first place, and certainly not no New York brothers. I mean, New York brothers, I chill with New York brothers primarily, by and large. Most of them don't give two shits about this debate. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not getting riveted up behind this shit. Most of them know what it is too. I mean, Ricans aren't outright at every turn doing every decision they make with the thought process of, oh, we gotta work against these morenos, or we gotta work against these black cats. Especially in New York, if they're telling you that, they're bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because black people don't feel that way. Ain't no black dude gonna run up into a train where there's mad Puerto Ricans and get off the train and be like, nah. Like, I'm not gonna ride with these Puerto Ricans. You know what I'm saying? And also, again, when it comes to street shit, I mean, like, there ain't gonna be many black dudes that are gonna go out on a limb and tell you, oh, well, we run down on Puerto Ricans all the time. Puerto Ricans are pussy. None of that's gonna happen. I'm not saying it because we're the strongest shit going, but we're some of the toughest in New York City. That can't be debated. Brothers will tell you that. Brothers claiming FBA online in 2025 that are from New York, that put their face on the internet, will tell you that. Not no dudes hiding behind no fucking anime profile picture. No, I'm talking about people that will actually show their face on YouTube that are from New York. They ain't gonna tell you that Puerto Ricans are pussy. You know what I'm saying? Like, no men are gonna tell you that, or no men are gonna tell you Puerto Ricans better not touch Lord Jamal. That's based out of New York, because Puerto Ricans will go then kick the shit out of that brother putting that kind of content out. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just ridiculous. Let me see. Stop acting like Puerto Ricans is running shit. Y'all ain't got numbers like that. No, we actually don't have numbers like that in New York. But nobody's running over Puerto Ricans in New York, bro. I'm telling you, my brother. You might not be from here, bro. Like, but if that was the case, I mean, motherfuckers would have overtook Puerto Ricans in jail. That's not the case. My brother's in jail right now. I mean, and he's been in 3 houses so far. One was held down by Dominicans, one was held down by Puerto Ricans, and the other one was held down by Bloods. If that was the case, every house would be held down by Bloods and Crips. It's not the case. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's the case, I mean, like, there's probably more brothers in the Bronx than there are Puerto Ricans. I mean, like, you know, and we coexist. But ain't no shit as where brothers is just gonna decide, like, at any point, like, oh, we're just gonna brutalize these Puerto Rican dudes and, like, shit ain't gonna pop off. Nah. I mean, and I know a lot of Puerto Rican dudes that, like, wear glasses, like, that look like really not tough people that will fucking cut your shit open fucking from nipple to fucking belly button. You know, that are not with the shits. Some of the toughest dudes you've ever met in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, and these dudes aren't getting run over in one instance. You know, it's just not happening like that. Louis Luck, you're not from New York. Louis Luck, if you could, like, tell us where you from, bro. Like, cause you are talking kind of spicy. And if you're from New York, which I doubt. I mean, tell us what borough. But the prison guards look for their white counterparts like Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. Listen, that's not the case, bro. Maybe you're getting your history off of a TV show or some shit. You must not live outside in real life. Go get a breath of fresh air. Don't masturbate this evening. You need to get some outside reality because I have a feeling that you're getting your history as to how things work in the streets of New York City from straight out the internet by somebody with a bone to pick from Ricans. Because I'll put it like this. Listen, and Dominicans are a very small minority in the prison system in New York City, in you name it. I mean, Puerto Ricans ain't overtaking no Dominicans. We have larger numbers than Dominicans do. Black people ain't taking over Dominicans, and they have a way larger number than Dominican brothers. And why is that? The reason is because there's Dominican dudes that are fucking super thorough, that keep it real. Just like there's Puerto Rican dudes that are super thorough, that keep it real. And a lot of these dudes that are super thorough and keep it real, they're not stuck dealing with their own races. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of Puerto Rican dudes that are 100% thorough, that are not showing just Puerto Ricans that they're thorough. They're showing everybody in New York City that they're thorough. Ain't no fucking race lines in New York City. You know what I'm saying? Like where Puerto Ricans are just sequestered in one neck of the woods and they don't see black people at all. You know what I'm saying? Like that's impossible. In New York City, everybody got to deal with everybody. In New York City, you got to take the train to Atlantic Avenue, whether you're Jamaican, black, Puerto Rican, Jew, businessman, as fuck. You know what I'm saying? And you got to take the train. You got to go to the same DMV. You got to go to the same everything. You know, and ain't no way in which any of these nationalities that are quote unquote minorities, that are not part of the fabric of hood culture in New York City and aren't holding it down. You know what I'm saying? And the brothers too, and my brothers too, bro. Like
half a mile. Use the left 3 lanes
and
to the left.
jail guards ain't co-signing us or helping us. I mean, like, if anybody tells you that, like, they're retarded too. One thing is that Latin dudes do have more of a grip on, in terms of like where we have more of a relationship with the people that run stuff, is in the drug game. I mean, like, and that's just what it is. I mean, and that's more Dominicans than Puerto Ricans even. Dominicans have more connections with like the real connect, with the people that bring in drugs to New York City. Even more than they do Puerto Ricans. But definitely more than they do with the brothers. I mean, like, and that's just what it is. I mean, Dominicans are more about their business. Whereas, like, a lot of Rican cats, and even brothers too, a lot of Rican cats will try to rob a connect. You know what I'm saying? Like, and connects don't like that. Just what it is. Let me see. This might be my last comment, because I can't. The messages that I held for review, I can't show them. I mean, or like I don't know how to change my setting. I'm from Jamaica, Queens, Louis Luck. Yo, the dude I had on my panel, my brother Q's from Jamaica, Queens too. You don't sound like some dude from Jamaica, Queens, my brother. Or you must be a herb. You sound like a herb. I mean, if you know what a herb means, you know what I'm saying? Like, which if you're from Jamaica, Queens, you know what it means. Because your fellow whites protect y'all. I mean, what fellow whites are you talking about? In the streets of New York City? In the jails, I mean, like, you gotta go tell the Dominican dude. I mean, from what I hear, like, a lot of Dominicans are holding down a lot of the jails now in the state of New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, are they working with white jail guards too? I mean, because Dominicans, seemingly nobody gets along with them, whether that be Puerto Ricans and blacks. I'm pretty sure white jail guards aren't looking out for them on the strength of their Dominicans. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what you're referring to. Because I don't get along with your bullshit. I'm a herb. LOL. No. I'm just saying you sound like a herb because of the way you're describing shit. You're describing shit like with these broad strokes, like a herb would. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not like, you may be a herb, you may not be, but the way you're describing things as in somebody who doesn't leave the house that often, respectfully. You know what I'm saying? Herbs don't leave the house that often too. Like, and I don't know what your friend group is. I know that Jamaica Queens does have more brothers than they do other ethnicities. You know, the Latins aren't heavy in Jamaica. However, I know there's Puerto Rican dudes in Jamaica that are holding it down. I know a lot of West Indian dudes in Jamaica that hold it down. What's the the projects from Jamaica? Those small, the small projects. Baisley, I know my Baisley brothers are holding it down. That I know some Baisley dudes from Jamaica that are in Jamaica from Baisley Project. You know what I'm saying? Like, fucking your history is diabolical. You see, that's the kind of shit I don't like. That's FBA talk. FBA, they try to frame shit or frame you in like a term, you know, as in remixing history type shit. My history is diabolical. The fact that these dudes appreciate hip-hop music that aren't so-called FBA online 2024. These dudes are all tethers. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's corny shit. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of shit that makes me feel you're not really from New York. And more importantly, that if you are from New York, that you're a grade A herb. Let me see. What are you holding down? I mean, in real life, I mean, like, nobody would ever tell you in real life that me, the person speaking to you right now, behold, in my hood, Sunset Park, Brooklyn, nobody will tell you that they roll over me in a real life scenario. You know what I'm saying? I'm only speaking from my perspective. And no, I'm not Mr. Tough Guy either, but I actually live a real existence too. You know what I'm saying? And I actually, and coming from a perspective that I've loved hip hop since I was a fucking baby. You know what I'm saying? It's the first music I love. And I ain't no young kid either. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing, when I go onto these emotional FBA panels, one of these dudes that was like, I think his name was the Mighty Hebrew, they try to reel you in like, oh, how old are you? You gotta have respect before you come on this channel. Like, you know, like, come on, bro. Like, respect ain't a requisite, especially if you have panels and whole communities, i.e. the FBA online internet community of hateful ass dudes. These dudes don't talk with respect. You know what I'm saying? These dudes ain't playing position or respecting somebody who's older. But when you go on there, they try to reel you in. Oh, well, you're speaking to royalty on this panel, or you're speaking to fucking older person. I mean, like, yo, like, a lot of these dudes ain't but 2 or 3 years older than me. They probably found out about hip hop from fucking Fresh Prince or they probably found out hip hop by listening to Rob Bass or some shit. It Takes Two. You know what I'm saying? Like they found out about hip hop as outsiders of New York City when hip hop became commercial. But these dudes want to be telling you what New York City street history is, and they're not even from New York. You smell me? Hold on, I'm gonna read some of the comments too. And Louis Luck too. I'm not shitting on you either, bro. Like, I mean, and I do thank you for coming through. What's up? Do I got a commitment? You're coming through my panel to talk your shit, or what up? You know what I'm saying? And no smoke too, bro. No smizzle. You come through and I'll let you get it off. You give your version of remix history, or you could even quote some of these heroin-induced pioneers that are coming out of the woodwork. If you want to use that as your pioneers, as a placeholder for pioneers in the spirit of trying to debate me or contend against what I'm saying, you go for it. You know what I'm saying? But you could come onto my panel, and I ain't gonna silence you. That's one thing I won't do. Let me see. The most dangerous thing you probably done was rip that tag off your mattress. I don't get it. I don't care what you think. You're not even from America. I mean, I was born here. I guess not. I mean, important. Like, that's what makes me think that you didn't grow up around Puerto Ricans too. Puerto Ricans are Commonwealth too. I mean, most people from New York know that, in the sense that we don't gotta use a passport when we travel as Puerto Ricans. And you, as an American, if you traveled into Puerto Rico, you wouldn't need a passport because we're a Commonwealth. And Puerto Ricans can't get deported because they count as citizens of the United States. If you want to go with the current history, I guess. But Puerto Ricans are Americans just as much as these FBA dudes who established themselves the last couple of months on the internet. Again, FBA's internet culture, and a lot of their biggest, or a lot of the dudes talking the spiciest in the FBA are seem to be on some racial set tripping time. You know what I'm saying? And Fat Joe wasn't on racial set tripping, shitting on the brothers either. He was basically bigging up Ricans. You know what I'm saying? Like, in spite of the fact that I know he was misquoted on, but and I'm going with misquoted, in spite of the fact that he may have spoken out of turn by using the M-bomb, a word which I've said a million times in my life. I'm trying not to say the N-word no more. You know what I'm saying? But Fat Joe was just trying to put on for Ricans, but he wasn't shitting on brothers. You know what I'm saying? A lot of FBA sensitive dudes online took it there and misquoted a large part of what he said because they're hoey in nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want to be offended. So, be offended. Let me see. You're emotional, calling people emotional. Do I sound emotional in the least bit in this conversation, my brother? I'll go on to that to a panel right now, and all you're gonna see is emotion. All you're gonna see is a bunch of dudes putting emotional excuses as to why I can't speak. That's more along the lines of why I see an FBA panels doing. You smell me? Whereas the New Yorkers that are putting on for Ricans in the midst of this debate solely. That dude 5 Fits doesn't count in this. That dude is submissive. Like that brother, or even that Dr. Cologne. That's more of like a scholarly type debater. Not trying to offend. I'm not trying to offend people neither, but I ain't no fucking pussy. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I know what's up. Like, I'm not gonna shy away from what I gotta say. Whereas I can see those brothers shying away from what they gotta say. And listen, I'll be candid of my experience. Are there Ricans that are racist? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? There's Ricans in New York that are racist. There's Ricans in New York that are racist that don't even speak fucking English. I mean, that don't speak Spanish. There's Ricans in New York that only build with Ricans. That's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a big deal. There was Ricans in New York in the 70s that were on that type of time. There was Ricans in New York that looked at brothers and be like, yo, like these dudes might try some shit on me. I gotta be on my P's and Q's. That's okay. That's reality. That's logic. Racism exists everywhere. The whole shit, not you, Louis Luck. I'm talking about anybody who's listening to this. Are you gonna be racist? Are you gonna be bigoted? Are you gonna be a cornball? Are you not gonna allow people to speak because you want to play the victim? You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of these people online that make this debate into a victimhood debate, which I see constantly, or make it emotional, which I see constantly. In real life, like, I mean, aren't really victimized unless they're going to look for some shit to make themselves into victims online, because they don't go out in real life anyway. Like, a lot of these dudes don't experience racism in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ask them and they won't even tell, like, what kind of racism you experienced this year or this past year. And it's some pussy ass shit that they could have handled at their regular job. You know, oh, fucking Bobby from HR was fucking said this shit about black people. Then go fucking punch Bobby in his fucking face. Like, nah, these dudes will stay silent and then they'll make FBA shit on some racial undertone like their whole lives, or like their whole online perspective behind the computer screen. Talk salty, but in real life, I mean, like, they're just some herbs. Or like in real life, like, they're not victims unless they try to look for some shit to victimize themselves with. And I'm not saying all FBAs are like this. Again, I don't use the term FBA. FBA is some shit that was created online. I only use FBAs in the spirit of this debate. I only use FBA to describe a small group of dudes online that are trying to get away with the standard of being able to say whatever the fuck they want, but let you respond, and they try to hit you with some emotional shit. You know what I'm saying? I use FBA as a term for dudes online that want to be bigoted with no repercussion. And that's dudes that are trying to enforce a standard that doesn't exist in reality. And I'm not a cancel culture type dude. If you say some bigoted shit online and I know who you are in person, no, I don't want you to get your job taken away. Like, I think it would be extremely hoey for some dude to dox you or to report you, like, to your job or some shit. That's whole shit. That's more cancel culture shit. A bone of contention I have is FBA culture online. It's just a lot of toxic shit. It seems like it's like a lot of people that want to be bigoted. It seems like it's a community of people that are very gun-ho on trying to cancel other people, rappers, hip-hop legends, you name it. But more importantly, it seems as people that are trying to make a set of terms in which people could express themselves, as in we can express ourselves but nobody else can. You know what I'm saying? Or if other people express themselves, they're doing it because they don't like brothers, or because they're trying to be pro fucking tethers, or because they want to defend cosplayers. Cornball terms, bro. Fuck out of here. Let me see. of the U.S. I know, but Puerto Rico, last I checked, ain't connected to the mainland. No, it's not. But neither is Hawaii. You know what I'm saying? Neither the Virgin Islands. Uh, Cologne ain't no scholar. No, I don't consider him a scholar for me. I don't check that brother's work. I mean, like, I'm saying he's more of a scholarly type. He's more of a bookworm type in the sense of this debate. He don't want to sound offensive because he's in the midst of emotional people. Again, I don't check for the dude's work like that. The only time I've seen that dude on anything, it's discussing this Fat Joe shit. And every time he's discussing it, it seems like he's on the defensive, or it seems people are just shitting on him where he can't even speak. It seems like he's just trying to get his turn to speak when he shows up to these panels, and he'll say, "Oh, can I speak now?" Nah, fuck that, motherfucker. With these tethers, you motherfucking tethers are gonna learn today. Like, it's corny shit. Whereas if I showed up to a panel like that, I'll be insulting every motherfucker in there. But when I show up with my insults, they'll be like, "Oh, you see these disrespectful these motherfuckers cosplaying our shit. These disrespectful." Nah, that's what I mean. But no, I was only mentioning it like, whereas if somebody like myself or somebody like Latin Pain shows up to the panels of the people discussing it, trying to frame it in a very pro online FBA kind of fashion, that those people won't even let me speak. You know what I'm saying? Those people are holy. And they like for somebody who's scholarly, like a Cologne guy, to show up so they could trash on them and not get no pushback. Or like that Five Fits guy that I mentioned earlier, who's just making content that's just anti-Fat Joe. You know what I'm saying? So that it could give them a bone of contention or a point to run with. I'm not a pro Fat Joe fucking channel. I shit on Fat Joe's lyrical skills. I have content that predates this FBA date by a few months at least, shitting on Fat Joe for endorsing Kamala Harris. It's on my channel. Go look at my old videos. So no, I don't come here defending every Puerto Rican contention that's thrown up on the internet. I don't fucking defend Fat Joe. I don't defend Puerto Rican rappers. Like, that's not the time I'm on. I do, however, feel that it's right for me to defend against people that are bigoted against Puerto Ricans on the spirit of a debate that they're dead wrong about, which is hip-hop history. Hip-hop started in the Bronx in 1972 or earlier, period. You heard? Let me see. I left off on Cologne, no scholar. How do you know what people experience? No, I'm telling you my experience, though. You know what I'm saying? I know how certain people talk, and when it's based in reality, or when it's based off the internet, or based off holy emotion. I allow for women to be emotional. That's fine. I could tolerate a certain amount of that. But it's these dudes that get emotional, or women that are speaking like men, which I can't tolerate. You know what I'm saying? If women speak along the lines of men, or if women speak and try to violate a dude in a hood situation, it's fully acceptable for you to call him a bitch or tell him to fuck off. This is our street standard, you know? Cologne is a propagandist like you. It's 1 a.m. Yeah, it's 1 a.m. and here we are, my friend. It's 1 a.m. and my back is fucking killing me since before New Year's. And I'm here driving my car en route back from deep in the country in Virginia, trying to make my way back home. But thank you for coming through, Nick. Nick Lunetta. I hope I'm saying that right. Hip hop schematics, cool name. Damn, I your message was retracted. If you could leave your message again. I don't have the ability to unblock deleted messages because I'm in my car doing this live. I maybe or some of my chat stuff. I'm just spitting honestly. I could go all day honestly regarding this topic because it's my people's. Not only is all the Ricans of New York City a contingent which I'm defending online, a culture that's deeply involved in hip hop since day one. Have been involved in hip hop, but I could spit on this topic all day because of all the hypocrisy of some of the loudest people that are speaking on it. The FBA's online, which established again 2024. The biggest cancel community online is FBA online. The biggest bigots online in 2025 are FBA's online. The biggest crybabies online are FBA's online in 2025. So that community has a lot of cleaning up to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't gotta check Joe for what he said, because what Joe said, I mean, whether he was right or wrong, that's his prerogative. Or a lot of y'all really did jump out the window and reframe what Fat Joe said. And I'm not here defending Fat Joe again. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of y'all, in spite of the fact that y'all are misquoting Fat Joe or misquoting Busta Rhymes, misquoting Talib Kweli, y'all are coming out of pocket and saying all types of shit about Ricans, about Caribbeans, and y'all think that that's cool, or y'all think that that's acceptable. You know what I'm saying? By 2025 FBA internet standards. And listen, I'm cool. I'm with it. Like, if y'all want to be bigots, then be bigots. You know what I'm saying? Like, fucking, that's on y'all. Like, if I've been bigoted in the past, I know what I could reflect, and I'm not that person today. If I've been a goon in the past, I know I could reflect and be that person today. Y'all putting out on the internet that y'all are bigoted, and y'all putting out on the internet that y'all want the standard to be, we want to be allowed to be bigoted or talk however the fuck we want, and for nobody to tell us shit in return. I mean, that standard's not gonna play out in the home of hip hop, New York City. Nobody in the street is not gonna bop with that standard in the streets of New York City, where we could shit on Puerto Ricans and call them tethers or some corny shit like that. And I'm here to be the representative of New Yorkers online as of today. It's hard for us to pop out in the midst of this shit and speak our truth, without somebody getting emotional, or without some fucking dude from the boonies of Ohio who's a fucking herb in real life insulting us. You know what I'm saying? And talking racial shit, insulting us. Hip hop schematic was my last comment, and I'm gonna bop off, or I'm gonna dip off. I don't know how long I've been on, but I'm gonna try to go on tomorrow. If I fucking rest enough, my back is killing me. I'll do live tomorrow if I have time on StreamYard, and StreamYard allows me to bring other people on my panel on YouTube. I'll open it up to StreamYard. Let me see. I'll see if Latin Pain wants to come through, man. Like, that'd be great. But otherwise, I'll allow anybody to come on and talk their shit. If anybody got some shit or an issue with what I'm saying and I can't do StreamYard, I could invite you onto my YouTube and you'll do a live alongside me. Just leave me a comment on this video after the fact. I'm going to leave it up. I don't erase any of my shit. You know what I'm saying? Because none of what I say is coming off as a bigot, from my perspective at least. You know what I'm saying? Everything I'm saying comes of love. And it's not, no, just love for my Rican brothers. Nah, it's love for my Moorish brothers. You know what I'm saying? I'm never going to call black people ADOS, and I'm never going to call black people FBAs. You know what I'm saying? Because FBAs can't even describe what they are. FBAs don't know if they're, or can't tell me if they're solely descendants of Africa, and that makes you an FBA, or if it means black in America, if that makes you an FBA. I know a lot of black dudes in America do not want to be called descendants of slaves, i.e. Moors. But again, you can leave a comment on my channel and throw it up. Let me know. Listen, like, Foul Player, I want to be on your panel tomorrow. I think you're full of shit, and you are more than welcome to come through. But and I'm on that time, and I'm not beefing either. You know what I'm saying? But people ain't gonna take that shit up. You know what I'm saying? Because ever since I've came on the heels of this debate, I let it be known what time it is. And on most panels, I'm not allowed. And on my own channel, people ain't contending much of what I say besides regurgitating the same points over and over. And that's more in the comment section. They ain't coming onto my panel and talking their shit because they know what it is. And they know I'm coming from a perspective of love, not hate. But shout out to everybody who's listening. Shout out to the people that will listen after the fact. If you guys could listen, I've had a lot of bad stuff to say regarding the jab, regarding the rainbow community, you name it. YouTube ain't showing me much love, but those who are listening now and those who will listen to this after the fact, yeah, you guys are showing me much love by just being here and by just showing me that the algorithm could be busted through in spite of YouTube not loving your boy Behold. But please like, share, subscribe, or more importantly, come back tomorrow and make this a conversation rather than me just babbling. Most times nobody even comments on my shit when I go live. I'm not gonna front on y'all. You know what I'm saying? But and don't, you know, and anybody who comments on my shit, anybody who listens to my shit, I'm more than appreciative to, honestly, even if you don't agree with me. But in spite of that, I'll give you a bigger venue from which to speak of outside of commentary if you want to come onto my panel and contend anything I'm saying, or, you know, throw up anything you're saying. I'm not here to beef with you or none of that stuff. To anybody who's listening, I'll give it to you. You can live for hours. I mean, I'm not lying. I mean, but I'm gonna bring other people too. I mean, I have other shit lined up. I got my boy, he from the Spears and Mike podcast. My man L1, who I know since I was a kid. I want him to speak on this topic, even though he's a Rican too. My brother Q, Moorish brother from out of Queens, who I also know from the street life. I also want him to come back on and speak on this stuff too. You know what I'm saying? I want other people too. I mean, people that I don't know to speak on this stuff. I also got my other brother, So Fritz. He's gonna do an interview soon, and he's gonna talk about the Trinitarios and his experience as far as being a Trinitario in jail, and what it was like as far as his experience being in the jail system in New York City and in the state of New York as a Dominican coming up. I got other shit too, man. I want to do interviews with people that have nothing to do with hip hop, have nothing to do with street culture. I'm interested in a ton of shit that has nothing to do with this. Listen, I don't even listen to hip hop in 2025. My son's in his 20s. I never allowed him to listen to hip hop until he got older, and it's still my culture. I fucking hate all trap rap. I got no love for no trap rappers. You know what I'm saying? I think that they made hip hop today purposely, and it had nothing to do with FBA. It had nothing to do with Puerto Ricans. It had to do with people that are at war in Gaza right now, more than any other group. You know, they're the ones that decided, all right, that drill rap is gonna be what's popping right now. Rap that only describes brothers killing brothers and killing each other is gonna be what's popping right now. They're the ones that decided, all right, only hoes are gonna rap right now. Only one whole rapper could be popping at a time. You know, when Nicki Minaj gets played out, we replace it with Cardi B. When Cardi B gets played out, we replace it with fucking Glorilla and fucking Sexy Red. But make sure that all our women sound like hoes when they're rapping, and make sure only one of them pops off at a time. Make sure that if black brothers are rapping, that they're only rapping about killing themselves and nothing else. Make sure that only one Puerto Rican in Fat Joe becomes the rapper that gets on and nobody else. You know what I'm saying? Those are decisions that are not decided by so-called minorities. Yet so-called minorities are the ones going at each other's throats online. You know what I'm saying? Or attempting to come at my helmet and failing online. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no fucking Jewish cats coming at my helmet in the spirit of this debate. You know? But again, these people aren't coming at that debate or these people aren't deciding what goes down in hip hop from a business perspective, because their business is keeping quote unquote minorities in jail and dead. Their business is somewhat to make money and to have us looking like idiots out in the real world in 2025. You know what I'm saying? In spite of the fact that I'm coming here vouching for my Rican brothers and I don't want to be trashed, I got nothing but love for my black brothers, Moorish brothers, and brothers who are referring to themselves as FBAs in 2025, which I will never do. You know what I'm saying? I got nothing but love. You know, and I'll come right back here and pop my same shit tomorrow. I'm not gonna take anything down. I could see a lot of these dudes pumping the FBA shit, taking a lot of shit down. Because if they made ADOS content and now they're saying ADOS, oh, that's some boule shit. You know, then they'll take if FBA is a term that is not used in 2026, they'll be taking the FBA shit down, trust. But I won't, you know. But with that, I'll wrap this up. Let me read my last comment. It's our culture, not Puerto Rican culture. Nah, hip hop culture is also Puerto Rican culture in New York City. It's New Yorican culture, especially. Puerto Ricans need to. Sam Seals, thank you for coming through. I'm sorry, but I'm wrapping it up. But nevertheless, thank you for coming through at the tail end of this video. Puerto Ricans need to stop thinking they came up with rap music. Nothing in their culture can even prove that. I mean, you're trying to contend a debate that's not even being played out. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to catch somebody in a gotcha moment, and that's not what's happening here. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to change the terms to a debate. My debate is hip hop started 1972 in the Bronx. There were Ricans there, there were brothers there. You know what I'm saying? I don't get my history or my hip hop history from the internet like a lot of y'all are getting it. You heard? It says YD. I don't know what you mean by that. But with that, Sam Seals again. I'm gonna do these. I'm gonna open up the panels in future instances too, like I've done in the past. And listen, by and large, have showed up to my panels. Nothing but love, you know. And I don't shy away from what the fuck I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want like ignorant brothers only to show up so I could prove them wrong. Nah. You know, anybody who's contending any of this stuff could pull up. As long as you ain't trying to limit me from saying what I gotta say, or limit anybody else from saying what they gotta say, you could talk whatever fucking whatever way you want to talk. You could try to frame things however you choose. As long as I could call you bullshit, I am with it. But with that, I hope you guys come through in future instances when I make content too. And with that, I hope you guys stay safe in 2025. And I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for stepping into the house of Behold. With that, much love. Peace.